I guess it's activity number 7, no? Ano ba? Yes, activity number 7. Okay, it's all about muscular tissue or the muscle. Okay, so I guess you have already discussed that during your your lecture. Okay, so with regards to the activity class, you're going to have you're going to have uh, uh, illustrations. Okay, mag-drawing tayo ng the different types of muscles. Okay, we have 3 types of muscles. We have the skeletal muscle, cardiac muscle, and the smooth muscle. Okay, for the first part class, okay, you're going to provide each of the types of muscle in the body an image found online. Okay, so ano ba yung picture na hanapin nyo? So microscopic image of the 3 types of muscles. Okay, so that's the first requirement. For the second requirement, because you're going to label. Okay, you are going to label the different parts of the 3 types of muscle. For skeletal muscle, you're going to label the nucleus, the A and I band. Okay, for the cardiac muscle, again, the A and I band and the intercalated disc. Okay, the cell nucleus, the A and I band, and then the intercalated disc. For the smooth muscles class, you're going to label the nucleus. Okay, and after that, illustrate and draw the sarcomere using the electron microscope image of the muscle or of the sarcomere. Okay, identify and label the different zones found in the sarcomere of the skeletal muscle. Okay, sarcomere is, diba, the unit, or the functional unit of our skeletal muscle. Okay, and lastly, for the fourth illustration, you need to draw the organization of skeletal muscle and label each of the organization and their corresponding type of connective tissues. Okay, and the part 2 of our activity class case study, you have 2 types or 2 case studies about muscle. Okay, for partial submission, okay, you need to submit yung drawings. Okay, so I'm going to play a video, okay, about muscle. Okay.
There are 3 types of muscles in the human body. These are voluntary or skeletal muscles, cardiac muscle, smooth muscle. Skeletal muscles are voluntary muscles. This means you are in control and choose when to contract them. Nerve impulses from the brain trigger the muscles to contract. They attach to bones via tendons and enable movement. Skeletal muscles can produce powerful, fast movements or small precision actions and have the ability to stretch or shorten and still return to their original shape. Fixator muscles are a type of skeletal muscle whose primary purpose is to stabilize joints. For example, the rotator cuff muscles help stabilize the shoulder. Involuntary muscles are found around organs and in blood vessels. We do not consciously have the ability to control this type of muscle. They contract and relax automatically. Involuntary muscles are also known as smooth muscle because they do not have the striped appearance that skeletal muscles have. Smooth muscle is found in the walls of hollow organs such as the stomach, esophagus, bronchi, and in the walls of blood vessels. Involuntary muscles help move food along the esophagus or constrict blood vessels to reduce blood flow. Cardiac muscle is found solely in the walls of the heart. It has similarities with skeletal muscles in that it has a striped appearance, and with smooth muscles in that its contractions are not under conscious control. Cardiac muscle is highly specialized and resistant to fatigue. This is due to the presence of a large number of mitochondria, myoglobin, and a good blood supply. For more information or to test yourself with our interactive quizzes, visit teachpe.com.
Okay, so again, those are the different types of muscles, diba? We have cardiac, skeletal, and smooth muscles. So I know that you're already familiar with this, no? Okay, for the cardiac, okay, since the term itself, okay, this is the muscle found in our heart, okay, mainly in our heart. For smooth muscles naman, our internal organs, okay, blood vessels is made up of those muscles. And lastly, we have the biggest or the largest number of muscles class in our body. We have the skeletal muscles. Okay, so your activity for today is you're going to search online about the microscopic images of the different types of muscles. Okay, so again, I'm going to play another video which gives you the microscopic appearance of the different types of muscles. Okay.
This is a bunch of things, and you use little algorithms to quickly identify what you're at. This movie is called Muscle. There are three kinds of muscle histologically. There is muscle without striations, so that's called smooth muscle. There are two types of muscle with striations, and if the fibers are arranged parallel, that's called skeletal or voluntary striated muscle. If the striated muscle has fibers which connect with each other as a mesh, that's called cardiac muscle. In this field, we have all three kinds of muscle. Let's go to the first one on the left, and let's zoom it up a little bit. And you could quickly see, I hope, that these fibers here are clearly striated. In addition, they are arranged very longitudinally, like logs on a neatly stacked fireplace. In addition, you can see that the nuclei are all out at the periphery. So this is classical voluntary skeletal striated muscle. Technically, if you cut one of these nuclei tangentially with respect to the fiber, it might look like it was in the middle of the fiber, but in reality, that's just a geometric artifact. In true voluntary skeletal striated muscle, the nuclei are all at the periphery. You could identify the striations better from doing longitudinal cuts with respect to the axis of the fiber. You could identify where the nuclei are better by doing cross or axial sections with respect to it. This is classical striated skeletal muscle. Let's move on to the next piece of tissue. Here are muscle fibers in which you can clearly see there are no striations. And in addition, the nuclei are kind of like cigar-shaped. If you cut them longitudinally, they look a little bit like bent cigars. If you happen to cut them more transversely, like you see here, they look round. So, once again, it's a geometric phenomenon. If you are looking at smooth muscle fibers which have been cut transverse to their longitudinal axis, they'll look like they're round. If you cut them longitudinal to their longitudinal axis, they will look like little cigars or very, very spindly. Quite frankly, you could have a very hard time differentiating this from a connective tissue, perhaps dense, regular, or irregular connective tissue. But if you did a trichrome stain, the cytoplasm of the fibroblasts and the collagen fibers stain very clearly blue or greenish blue with a trichrome stain, whereas smooth muscle would not pick up the greenish at all. Let's keep on moving away now from these nice smooth muscle fibers and go on to our third type of muscle, which we are going to be seeing very, very soon, I hope. And sure, we have just landed on the coast here, and we can start to see some muscle fibers now in which I think you will admit it's a little bit more difficult to see the striations on this. Perhaps I could convince you very soon that, let's go to a different area. Maybe we'll see some striations better. Perhaps I could convince you that if you look very closely, like here, or perhaps here, or let's go to another place. If you can't see it good, just take a quick visit to another place. If you look perhaps here, hopefully, I can convince you that these are striations also. But two things separate this from skeletal voluntary striated muscle. Whereas I think I could convince you that maybe there are some striations, the nuclei are clearly within the center of the fiber, like here, like here, like here, like here, like practically everywhere. And in addition, the fibers are not stacked up nicely like logs on a fireplace. They branch. And thirdly, you will have an abundance of areas in which you could see little lines in the middle of two connecting fibers, like perhaps here, like certainly here, like certainly here. And these are your intercalated discs. So cardiac muscle is also striated, not nicely striated as skeletal muscle, but it has the nuclei in the middle of the fiber. It has intercalated discs. The fibers branch to connect with adjacent fibers because the method of contraction is not linear, it's in multiple dimensions. And last but not least, the fiber is not quite as thick as the skeletal muscle voluntary striated fiber. They're a little bit smaller. So there we are, all three types of muscle on one nice slide. And I hope that I can convince you that there's no possible way you could ever confuse striated from skeletal, from cardiac muscle for the rest of your life. And I thank you very much.
Okay, so those are the different types of muscles. Okay, so our activity will going to require you class to look for pictures or illustrations of microscopic appearance of the three types of muscles. Okay, and then label it. Okay, so I guess it was it was already differentiated by those two videos. When we say muscular or skeletal muscle, obviously it is the muscle that we use for movement. Okay, it is striated because of the movement of the different bands when when the muscle contracts and relaxes. Okay, so also another type of muscle na striated is the cardiac muscle. Okay, it is not striated because of the movement of the muscle itself, but because of the intercalated disc. Okay, that makes it striated. Okay, and lastly we have smooth muscle. So it was named smooth muscle because wala siyang striations compared to the other two types of muscles. Okay, so I guess it was already clear. Okay, so the deadline of the partial activity will be within this day. Okay, so I know na marami kayong gagawin, marami kayong ginawa kanina. So, basta matapos niyo yung partial activity within this day. I am requiring yung partial activity will be the drawings. Okay, or the illustrations. Okay, basta masubmit niyo within this day, okay na yan. Okay, the final output or the entire activity number 7 will be submitted Saturday next week. That's March 20. Okay, March 20. Sarcomere. Okay, for the sarcomere, Miss Pabingwit, okay, illustrate and draw the sarcomere using the electron microscope image. Ibig sabihin, yung electron microscope image ng sarcomere. Identify and label the different zones found in the sarcomere of the skeletal muscle cell. Okay? What is a sarcomere, by the way? Okay? Diba, it is the functional unit ng skeletal muscle. Yung may mga bands, I band, H band, yun. So you're going to draw that one and then label each bands ng sarcomere. Okay? So that was part of the instruction for activity number 7. Okay, nakuha ba? Okay, deadline of the activity is within this day for the partial submission. Deadline for the final output will be on 20 next week, next Saturday. Okay, so I guess I should end this one because you are going to do a lot more things today. Okay, so again, partial submission is within this day. Okay, so that would be all. Or do you have any more questions regarding the activity? Naintindihan ba? Okay, illustration lang and case study. Okay, by the way, and 12 noon, okay, 12 noon, I am going to publish the quiz. Yes. 12 noon, I am going to publish the quiz and it will end 12:30. Okay? So I guess prepare for the quiz 12 noon. It will be published and unpublished 12:30 noon. Okay, thank you everyone and see you next meeting. Bye.